actually.
It looks good.
What are you taking?
I'll send you the link, mate.
Well, we recorded that last week, so we've started. Right then, so we've decided to set up a little video call from the old school 2017 games team, and just to have a chat about. We've got plenty of questions been thrown in by the guys in the program. Just have a chat about the season, give them something to listen to, give them a bit of an insight of how the season went from everyone's perspective. Some questions there on like funniest, on favourite moments, or worst moments. And then a few little other, some serious, some bit of a piss take questions. First off, I'm going to start in order of my screen on here. So first off, we've all got 30 seconds. Just a quick 30 seconds, just to give us a brief up to date of what you've been doing with your life since 2017 games finished. Megan, you're at my top left of the screen, so you're on first. Away you go.
Real quickly, I moved to Singapore, went and did some physio work, some coaching work, and for 2 years, and now I've moved back to Newcastle on the red pill, mentorship and training for the game.
Oh yes, let's give her a little clap. Megan was the top UK female from last year's Open, so she is going to the games.
Maybe.
Yeah, if it goes ahead. Oakley, you're next. 30 seconds. Go.
I still work for 7R staff and have been travelling pretty much for the last so many years since the games every weekend. Opened a gym as well, which is pretty sweet, called Forest Hill Cafe. And also started a little retreats business up in the Lake District.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Doing much competing or not?
A little bit, not as much as before. Took a little step back, but yeah, kind of.
Cool, good stuff. Jane, I know you love to talk about yourself. So 30 seconds enough. Come on, give us a quick run over. 30 seconds.
Went to the games in 2019 and got a real job in the police.
There we go. And you've been in the police for how long now? 6 months?
Since September 2019.
Yeah. Cool. Benjamin, have we got enough time for you here?
I mean, I've been very busy, so I don't know if we've got enough time, but I'll give you a brief overview. I've done nothing. All these high achievers, I could have gone first and then everyone could have got better. Standing in the middle. What have I done? I've got married.
Oakley, you got engaged.
I did get engaged.
There we go. Didn't even mention Sean.
Sean who?
Don't tell him he's not you.
And I've lost all my gains, which I managed to keep for about a year, and then I tried squatting 2 days ago when the squat rack arrived, and it was terrible.
Does that mean you did 10 at 150 or something like that?
Yeah.
Front squat.
No, it's 3 by 3 at 140. Awful.
Backies.
I know.
Squats.
Strict press, actually. Yeah, that's me.
That's you. Jack, what's going on?
Regionals individual 2018.
Yeah.
Games 2019 in the team again.
Yeah.
And then got married and got a dog.
There you go.
There you go.
I made
Complete life, mate.
Instagram for it.
Here's my number one right here.
There she is. What have I got? I got married 5 days after the games finished, I think. Yeah. And then
did you do a lot to organise it?
fucking loads. I couldn't deal with all the responsibility of organising and the game. What to do? Got married after it. Decided to do a year of weightlifting. That lasted a month. Got my shoulder dislocated. Became a coach. Decided to put the foot back in. Went to the games 2019, and Megan kind of bullied me into making a return. So I'm clinging back onto whatever I've got left. So that's where we're at.
I'm sure you had a child as well, Stephen.
Lifetime PB.
Yes,
I'm sure you had a child in there.
Shit, I had a child. Fuck. Don't tell Fran. She's not watching this. You don't want to watch it, Fran. It was boring. I had a child. A year, what was he now? He's nearly 16 months. A year and a half ago.
When you had the child, didn't your Instagram following dip?
Fucking hell, I lost like 500. Every time I put a post or an Instagram story up of him, I just drop about 50. My male following doesn't like it, I don't think.
Well, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We've got. We'll fire into some questions, and feel free for a few of you to answer your own versions of these first few questions, and then we've got some individual ones for you all. First one, I presume this is by a bunch of girls that have asked it. Does it matter what you look like when you compete, and do you coordinate your kits? Well, for starters, Megan and Oakley have coordinated the kits just for this call. And Ben.
I thought Jack was going to wear his headband, for God's sake. I love those things.
Slip off.
Need to wear all 5 of them for this.
So, do you purposely coordinate, and do you put effort into what you look like before you go out and compete? Who's going to step up?
When we was a team, as a team of 6, we used to coordinate. We had like a pre-WhatsApp to decide that we all had the same thing, didn't we?
It's like a full-on separate WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And that was an effort, trying to keep up with you 3 girls, all with different opinions.
Jane was always on it with the kit, though.
Yeah,
Socks have to be matching to everything. That still haunts me now.
Jane has rules that you go by. You can't wear white socks and black shoes and shit like that.
Can't wear grey with grey, Steve.
Yeah, Stonelife is the one on Ireland.
I just remember that purple tee with the orange shorts. That was a pith combo.
Yeah, it was. Purple tee, orange shorts. Black tee, orange shorts.
Yeah.
That's the one.
What about the all orange outfit?
Yeah, an all purple.
What was
Do you mean when Oakley used?
That
You mean when
was-
Oakley used to put fake tan on?
That was Megan's influence.
Oh, you had 2 of the brownest girls in your team next to you, and then the palest girls just lay it down. It's stuck there though. Stuck on
I
you.
didn't have a choice. I had to do it because I look like a ghost.
that? Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Look at bed.
Meg got like that swimming costume, and we went swimming that night in the hotel, and it like fell to pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Night
That was
before
awful.
we were meant to do that run, swim, run event.
Well, that was actually the next question. What did you think of your swim outfits?
Oh,
They stressed me out. They really stressed me out because the sports bar the girls were given, they were like double pieces of material, and when we jumped in the pool to test them, the back material just started to slide off.
When Meg jumped in the pool to test them.
There was nothing there, that's why.
So you weren't a fan.
no.
What about when you were pulling them out your crack halfway around the run, Oakley?
It continued the whole fucking run. With the camera in our face the whole time.
Is that why you and Megan lost the lead that me and Ben gave us?
You bastard.
I can give you about 5 minutes. You spent the whole time pulling your pants out your ass.
The whole time Megan was just like, think of Jane, Oakley. Think of Jane. And Jane
That
was
worked.
Never mind Jane. Jack was a fucking ghost when he got back onto the finish line.
Fuck, it was I.
Christ, she dragged him round.
Never been so ill after
Oh,
a
you wanna
break.
go?
Jack, tell us that story of that last leg of that run.
So we came out of the water, didn't we? And we were like the first pair out of the water. Probably by a good, like, we ran around the corner and we couldn't see anyone, so it was at least a minute head start. And Jane was like, "Come on, Jack, we're gonna make a statement here. We're gonna make a statement." So I'm like thinking, yeah, all right then, all right. Get about 400-500 meters down the road. Fucking, I'm being dragged along by Jane. "Come on, Jack, run faster." And then this happens for another mile, and then I'm dead.
Turn the goal to the finish line, and it's as white as Megan looks on this picture now. The white as it.
Wait,
Yeah.
I look like a
I was gonna shit my pants. It was so bad.
So Ben will have heard the story, but Megan and Oakley, I don't know if you did. Obviously, when we went to games in 2019, there was another running event, and it was the Ruck Run.
What happened?
And, I don't know if you've seen the footage, but we got a decent lead after like one lap, and you did 4 laps, and the weight got heavier as you went. And on the last, Jack took a bit extra weight for Helena, and on the last round, I gave him a pat on the back because he'd put it shifting on the round before, and he'd got more weight than the rest of us. And I just went, "Come on, Jack, last one now." And he just went, "No, I'm not running any quicker. Look how far ahead we are. I'm not doing it again."
I fully
had another strap halfway around the last lap as well.
Oh, man.
It's actually on the live footage of the Rogue Street team. He's going like that. "Look at them all. Look at them." I was like, "Fucking hell, I'm just trying to give you some motivation."
Yeah.
That's not like you, Jack.
What's that?
So that's not like you.
Well, I know, but I was just having flashbacks to bloody 2017. I was like thinking, I'm not getting in that fucking state again. No way. I literally snapped. I was like, "Fuck off. Running at this pace. I'm fine now. Like, not going any faster."
Does anyone remember any conversations or things that were said during either regionals workouts or games workouts? You know, when it's like middle of a competition, middle of an event, and just like something happens? Because I remember a few. I'm just wondering if anyone else remembers anything anyone said.
The row heavy worm.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Oh, man.
I think I'm glad this has been brought up because it's probably a highlight of the year. I don't think many people really understood.
Oh, wow.
I think
it went great for the girls.
If I set the scene quickly, is we've had a few shit events leading up to it, haven't we? And then we thought, right, we're on for this one. Bit of rowing, squats with a worm, and we've probably fancied to do pretty well. And what was it, 4 rounds or was it 3 rounds? Was it 4 rounds? I think it was 4, wasn't it? I think it was 4. And the first 2 rounds, we were doing well, we were rowing hard. And then the 3rd round, when we got onto the squats, and we were all, it was just obviously a 6-man team, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. Jane at the back, me, and then Oakley, or maybe it was Megan, Ben, and Jack at front. I can't remember where you Oakley and Megan were. But we wrongly got 8 no reps.
Oh, shit.
They no repped us and then went back 8 reps. So we ended up doing an extra 8. And the goal was always to keep the worm squats unbroken. But those extra 8 just fully redlined us 3 guys like it was like backs were spangled. It just it killed us. And then we returned to the rowers for the 4th round. I was rowing and I was fully aware that I was in a mess. So I looked to my right to Jane and I said, "Jane, do you want to take my worm piece on this next round?" And she was just like, heart rate probably at fucking 130, and she's just like, "Yeah, sound," and just carried on. I look down at her rowing screen and she's on like 1,400 calories an hour, and I'm on like 900, absolutely fucking dying. And then I'll let you Lance take over of the what was going through your heads at that point.
Go on, man.
Well, I think I was rowing next. Was I next to Meg? And I think you were rowing next to Oakley. And I remember looking over and just thinking, there's something wrong with my rower, because Meg is like way faster than me. I was like, what's going on here? Anyway, you then stepped off the rower, waddled over to the worm, and Jack's on the front at this point, and he's like, I can get us a decent way there, but I don't think I can go all the way. I was like, all right, I'll be fine. I'll do it. I did about 4 reps and then had to switch. And then all the girls were on the heavy bits and all the boys were on the light bits, weren't they? And we just died.
And then it just fell apart. I think you two had seen that. I'd told Jane, let's swap. And you were like, yeah, I'm on that. I'm doing that as well. Girls, we're going.
I did like on that last round, because me and Oakley were at the front. And I just remember looking over at Oakley's screen and thinking, fuck me, like she's rowing faster than me and she's done more calories than me already. She was on like 9, I was on like...
Yeah. And they had, what did they have, like 6 less calories to do?
Something like that, wasn't it? And I was like, oh my God. And straight away I was just like, I'm just going to go straight to the back of the worm and just wait for all of you lot to just like be like, all right, we've got this here. Jack's obviously struggling. We'll take it for the team here, but we were all just like,
Fell apart.
Yeah.
Jane's like blood curdling scream, just screaming at everyone that we had to pick it up.
Yeah.
And we did 1 rep, and then you just see the concertina of it just rolling off, and then we'd all be 1 more rep rolls off, and it went to absolute pot.
And we got like, what did we get? 20 seconds back off an appeal because they did it 8 more reps, when really it cost us like 3 minutes because it absolutely ended all of us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm redlining, I'm at the red line.
Okay.
Good one.
Any memories from regionals?
Ben being kicked up the arse.
Oh yeah.
Crawling over the finish line, and then
Oh my God.
the rule always is that don't lie down on the floor after you finish the workout. But Ben was just on all 4s, ready to receive it, and I just threw my big toe right up him.
To be fair,
because they're Armenian and it was like 60% Armenian or Armenian or whatever. But how can an app
Someone got the TV on?
Yeah.
or like your nationality and all these?
May place you behind my radio.
Of course you didn't.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's talking here?
I thought that was Jane.
I was like, Ben.
Radio 1, she's stopped now.
Go on, to be fair, what are you saying?
To be fair, I remember I remember trying to cuddle Jack, but he just let me fall on the floor. So I think it's actually Jack's fault.
Oh dear.
That was my workout, that one.
I can never really remember that much, like things that we were said, because at regionals it was that fucking loud.
Yeah.
I think that was one thing that we took away after regionals for the games, is that my voice just can't be heard when we're in an arena like that. We only really clicked again with that halfway through the games weekend, and then Jane took over with doing the calls. But I remember the final event, the 50 ground to overheads, which we had down to an absolute fucking T with the touch and go reps. And then we banged out 10 touch and go. And then the judges, I don't think either of them knew what their roles were. One judge was telling us to go forward, one judge was telling us to go back. And then we went from being the first team to finish 10 to being the last team to finish 10. And then shit hit the fan. I remember I was trying to just like get across to everyone, just to chill out, let's do 5 reps, the set to 5 or whatever. But no one could hear a fucking thing, so I would leave in the worm and walking by every single one of you up by the side and like shouting at you like face to face because it was that fucking loud.
I remember that one. Can you the lads talk through what happened on the assault bikes? Because I still remember.
Fucking hell.
I still remember us all looking at each other, going like, "Let's not outwardly panic," but you could just see like we're having to deal with this on the spot.
Yeah.
The harder they pushed the assault bikes, the worse it got.
Yeah. So what was it? 3rd event. So
Yeah.
we were in the lead. I think we were winning overall, and it was this was after first day, and this was the first event of the second day, and it was a pairs thing. So it was, me and Jack went first, then was it then the girls, and then Ben and Meg?
Yeah.
No, to them, Ben, Meg.
Yeah. And then was it 30 cals we had to do each, Jack?
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
And obviously 30 cals sprint on an assault bike takes about 30 seconds for us each to do. I jumped on first, just closed my eyes for the first 10 seconds and ragged it. And then I heard the judge say, the screen's turned off again. And the only thing that I remember reacting to is thinking, again? Fucking, what do you mean it's already fucking turned off? Why is this bike here? I just remember thinking that. And anyway, they said in the warm-up area when we were lining up that the contingency plan was every time your right hand went forward, was it 3 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, every time it went forward 3 times, that was 1 calorie. And in my head, I was thinking, me ragging it for like 105 RPM, like I'm doing more, like that will not reflect 30 calories, that would be like 60 calories. It took me like 1 minute and 10 or something, 1 minute and 20. And then Jack jumped on and they give him the same scale, 3 reps. And yeah, so it took us like 2 minutes to do 60 calories. And then there was a load of wall balls, with the bar muscle ups, rowing, and then over line. And then Ben jumped on and it just did the exact same thing.
It was basically, if you went over 100 RPM, the screen turned off.
Yeah, yeah.
And what did we finish in that event?
4th?
Second.
Good. Mega pulled it
Well,
back.
We nearly got disqualified, you know, because I give Adrian Bosman so much shit for it.
I remember that. I remember looking down the line and you were just going like this at him, and then he said, "Just calm down, Steve." And I was like, "Oh, that's it."
I was, yeah, he nearly just. I said, "This is our fucking like lives," though, because everyone had put their lives on hold. Really, we could probably talk about that in a minute, but it was like, and at the time we just got beat by Reykjavik in that event, and they would have gone ahead of us potentially, and there's a good chance that could have ruined our chances of, you know, qualifying. We didn't really know what effects that had on our score at that point. And yeah, just for about 20 minutes laid into him, and I think they'd actually called Dave Castro about it, and he'd said there's nothing they can do, and we were 0.8 seconds off winning the event as well.
Yeah.
We had about a 2 minute frigging handicap. But yeah, I remember that. I was absolutely fuming.
And then next event, we got a world record.
Fucking right, we did.
That's one.
Yeah.
Woo!
Burn push press, rope climbs. How many times have you watched that event back since then?
Fuck,
I've
like,
never watched it.
Fuck off! I watch it every week.
Oh my god.
that was like silky smooth. That I remember thinking when we finished it, it didn't feel hard. It just went
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that was probably my favourite event of probably the whole year.
I'd say either that or the first one in the games, the run swim run.
Yeah.
No.
It was when
Last one
you
at the
said,
games.
huh?
Last one at the games.
Yeah, last one.
The last one.
Oh, that was a good one.
What was the last one?
Last one was when we had the vests on and we were in the three boys and 3 girls together. They're jumping over the burpees and over the hay bales, and then the stretcher carry.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember you literally put something like identical together like weeks before that we'd all done. We're like, yeah.
Yeah, we did in the gym. We put all the jump blocks up.
Yeah. It was very similar. We did a few things like that. He's here now, Sean. Sean,
Hey.
Oakley forgot that you got engaged to her.
I didn't. I did.
She did. She did.
Steve, you forgot you'd had a little boy.
I think yours is worse.
Outside, yeah.
How are we all?
Yeah, we're good.
On that first swim run, we was all peering around the corner to see who was coming, and I was like, because you got quite a little like mincy when you run.
What?
You mince, you wiggle quite a bit. And I was like, that's fucking Steve. That's Steve and Ben. And you came around the corner, and I was like, fuck, I'm good, and they're winning. And then I remember I was watching Rich Froning when he came round, and he was fuming.
Yeah, he's fuming with his. Was it? Who was he with? Was he? I can't remember. What he was. He was fuming with her, wasn't he?
Yeah,
The cousin. No, he was annoyed with the cousin.
Oh, was it? Hunsucker.
Yeah, because it was him and someone else that started.
Right.
Richard was last.
Yeah.
Richard.
Oh yeah. I remember. Next question. We've kind of covered a couple of them here. Favourite moment of the season, funniest moment of the season. We've kind of hit them there. Does anyone get any else?
Yes.
Go on.
When Jack broke his willy.
Ben, you have to tell it.
That was the best.
We were right, so we were doing some like practice games training on the field across from the Spees house. Obviously pushing sleds. There was a little lumpy bit, wasn't there? And the handles came out of the sled. I fell forward over the sled, and obviously there's a circle bit in the middle that the handle goes in, and I caught my piece on the rim of this hole and cut my neck open. I thought this is it. I'm over it.
Does anyone remember his reaction?
Yeah.
Give us a a reconstruction, Ben.
I just remember him turning away from us, putting his hand down his trousers, and then looking at his fingers for blood.
You guys had to go and look too. Anyway,
It was a oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, my dick, oh my god.
You went off me, didn't you?
Yeah. It was so hot down there. I was literally just like, my fucking dick's falling off. Like, it just feels like it's not there.
And then, so you went to hospital. What did the doctors say?
You appear to have a few lacerations to your penis. Well, fucking no shit, Sherlock. Is it going to stay on? Oh, yeah. Jab it up.
Did you feel okay?
Oh, we had a name for it. What did we call it?
Okay.
Oh, dick off. All dick off.
All dick off. Oh, yeah. All dick off.
We must have some memories from swimming in Eckidell.
Yeah.
Steve, the sturgeon.
I'm traumatized
one.
by you.
Jane has some memories.
Jane nearly killed me about 7 times. So out of all of us, Jane was the one that probably had the least swimming under her belt before the year started. So you couldn't swim. Yeah, basically, yeah, she couldn't swim 25 meters. Basically, this is in December, January time, isn't it? And then he spent the next few months just going to the pool 2-3 times a week, just gradually building it up. And he got to the point where he could swim, 200s, 300s, 400s in a pool. And then it was like, right, we're going to open water swimming. It's a different ball game. So we Stefan Little sent us over a load of wetsuits, which was nice of him. And then we started going down there, and for a shot, it was a shock to everyone to go into open water. It was for me, who'd even done it before, and I think mainly because of the amount of fish that lived in Echidale. There was an actual sturgeon, which was 6 foot tall, 6 foot long. That lived,
6 foot tall.
6 foot tall. It stands up on its fins. 6 foot long, and it was in there, and I don't know if anyone remembers seeing, but I saw a few and touched a few things which weren't human. And so we were gradually building Jane's distances up that she could go out to a buoy and back, and built up the confidence. And I don't know when it was. I think it might have been after regionals. Must have been after regionals when I said the workout to everyone, and it was like the loop was like 400 or 500 meters, wasn't it, around the lake? And we said the workout, and then she turned to me and said, "So what am I doing?" And I went, "You're doing it as well." And her face just fucking dropped. And I think it was actually a run, swim, run before we knew that we were doing a run, swim, run. And the first run, you could tell Jane's usually about fucking 300 meters ahead of us all on this run, and she was just chilling at the back with us all because she knew she could get into this run. But I don't think she spoke to me for the next 7 days after that day. Didn't dare text her in case she threw a load of abuse at me. Just tiptoed around her for the next week.
Me when we were running up that hill.
What?
Oakley's abuse at me when we were running.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Oh, that was that hero workout, wasn't it? It was like one of the first games training sessions back in.
That was the first session, still to this day of my life.
It was red hot.
I lost my shit with Jane.
Oh, poor
You
Oakley.
don't want to lose your shit with Jane, ever.
It's so good. What was it? I can't remember.
It was, we were running up and down the big hill at JST. Then we had burpees over the worm, possibly worm squats. I think it was running, worm squats, burpees over the worm.
Didn't Buller jump in on this one?
Yeah, Buller was on it. I don't know if Ben, you were there.
I just had my nose done.
Yeah, nose job, hadn't you?
No job.
I just remember JB stepping in and being like, "Come on, you guys! Like you're supposed to be fit or something like that." And I was just thinking, "You can fuck off."
Fucking 2 weeks off here, just €1. I'm still hungover from the after party at regionals.
I'm being brought home by a police car.
That was so good. We had I remember Cam coming in the room going, "Where's Jane?" And we were like, "I don't know. We'd only just got home." And I was like, "I don't know." And then you could just hear these police sirens. And Jane gets out the car.
I asked them for a lift home. They didn't bring me home.
Oh god, I remember that after party. We went out for some food and it was all nice and sophisticated, wasn't it? This is after obviously we just won a Mid-Meridian regional, and I don't know, Jack, how long did you last? About an hour. We had food, we had a few drinks with food, and then I'm sure after about 90 minutes you just backdoored it.
It probably like half an hour in the club, wasn't it? And then I was like, "I'm gone here."
And then the rest of us were just fucking raving away. I'd probably sweated more that night than I did all weekend. I remember Megan coming up saying that she needs to find herself a boy.
I knew you were going to say that.
I need to find a boy. I need to find a boy. I'm sure you were looking for Mitch Adams at one point.
I remember pointing someone out, and you and John both went, "Not him, no me."
Do you know what I remember? There was
no.
There was these three lads, and they were talking to us. I knew who they were. They were Irish lads, and and you went, where are you from? Russia. They're clearly Irish, Megan. Fucking hell.
I was gone. I was on a different planet by then.
Oh dear.
It was a good night.
It was a good night. Yeah, I might say. And then
The next day.
we took about 40 minutes to walk home, which was actually a 10-minute walk. And me and Oakley walked home.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Jane arrived in a police car
The next morning.
the next morning,
Shouting and screaming at us to let her in from the.
and then kicking off because you left her.
She was kicking off bad.
Yeah, you fucking left me in the middle of Madrid.
But we was more gone than you were.
And then I don't remember when would it happened, Ben. Did you just get a nice early night?
I think I went, yeah.
Yeah, I think we did, didn't we, Ben?
You and
Yeah.
Kat, did you come with Jack?
Yeah, we just ended up spooning all night.
Yeah. Ben, I think we went home and just played a bit more Worms.
Oh, yeah. Smashed out the worms. Played with our worms.
Right, Ben. I'm going to ask you another question as well as this because it's quite a short one. This has come in from Mikey Steele.
Oh, yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how British would you rate yourself?
Scale of 1 to 10. I'd say I'm in the middle.
12.
12. I think, there's probably the fact that my accent doesn't sound like you guys makes me sound more British.
How less British did you become after a year in Wigan?
I used to get back to London, and my wife Deb would, I'd say something that we'd been saying, and she'd kind of look at me and be like, "What?" And I'd be like, "Oh no, yeah, I actually just meant because innuendo central up in Wigan, next level."
It was next level.
What got us through.
We were working with a worm for a good 9 months, Ben. I mean, what else? can you expect?
We were good at jerking it.
Cleaning it as well.
Emptying the worm. And also, going right back to the beginning, what did you sacrifice to make it into the team? From what you were doing before, let's say, like you came over in December, didn't you? But like, what were you doing, and what were the sacrifices you made at the beginning of the season and throughout?
Me?
Yeah.
So I'd been following JST for about 2 years at that point.
Yeah.
And been up to you for a few camps, and we'd been training. We'd done a few camps, hadn't we? And then you kind of sort of mentioned, I'm thinking about doing a team for the games, and I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? And at that time, we all had to live together.
Yeah.
So I owned an affiliate in Twickenham called Blitz, and fortunately, my business partner kind of said, "Oh yeah, crack on." So I moved up to Wigan for 9 months, and I left my fiance down in London, which was very nice of her. And then I would do 2 weeks in Wigan, go back for the weekend, and then come back up for 2 weeks. During that time, we bought a house and got a dog, and I wasn't there for any of it.
Oh God.
Yeah, but no, it was, that's what you had to do. You've got to, if you want something to compete at that highest level, you've got to sacrifice things. It's not going to come to you easily. And then I think probably the only other thing that was quite a big thing for me was the day after regionals, we got back to London, and I'd arranged, to Manchester, and I'd arranged to have a private operation on my sinuses because I kept getting this infection. And that was a bit nerve-wracking because I'd never been put to sleep before. But you know, it was all part of the cause. I think when you're in a team, in a way that those sacrifices are easier to make because you're doing it for a group of people, and you all are striving for the same thing. So yeah, it was easy, really.
Yeah, cool. Jack,
Same question.
this has come from Sammy Wright.
Oh yeah.
Did you always want to buy a dog and make an Instagram account for it?
No, I can't answer this question because it's not games related. To be honest, I didn't until I saw like Ben get a dog and my brother get a dog. I'd never really thought about getting a dog, and then I was like, it's actually quite nice to have a dog. And then I got a dog. So.
And at what point did you realise you were going to make an Instagram account?
How does he know I made it? It might have been Hannah that made it. No, it was actually me. Well, I thought I'll make an account for Poppy because her life seems a lot more interesting than mine at the moment. I'm not slinging any PBs at the moment, so...
He's plugging away in his backyard. I've seen him. And what was the kind of hardest barrier thing to get over throughout the whole season for you, Jack?
I think there wasn't anything particularly like hard for me. It was more probably for Hannah. So obviously we kind of met like around about that time, like the year before, and I was spending probably more time with you guys than I was with her. So it was quite hard for her to kind of like grasp it a little bit. So trying to kind of keep that going, as well as, you know, being fully committed to the team.
Yeah.
So that balance between having a relationship and being fully committed to a team, it is hard when you're all in. Also, like, your other half has got to understand as well that, you know, it's equally just as important.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. I'm going to ask myself the next question. If I say the question to Ben, do you want to ask me it?
Yeah.
What made your decision to go team? And I don't know who this was from. Brad sent him over.
So Stevie, I've just got a question.
Okay.
The question is, and we're not sure who asked you this question, but it was, what was your decision to go team?
So we went team 2017, and then 2016 regionals was actually, it was at the end of that regionals weekend, which Jane and Jack competed in. Megan, you were there as well, weren't you?
Yeah, individual, yeah, year before.
But we didn't know you then. We didn't talk to you.
No, you did.
But that was the point. I pulled out after day one with an injury, and then Jack went on to be the highest ranked British male, with what position were you? 14?
Like
12?
It was like 15th or something like that.
And then Jane was also up there as one of the top 3 females. When you were 16th, Jane?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And I think me and Jack had briefly spoke about it at some point before, just in conversation. And then it was after that weekend when I think I'd said to you, Jane, I'd turn around and went, fancy having a bash at team next year? And then Jane was like, yeah, I'm in. Jack said, yeah, I'm in. So it was like, for me, it was, we had half a team, and that was half of a very good team, and that was a position where like not many people were in that position, because obviously at that point in time you had to all train out of the same gym. Not many people had 4 people of a decent caliber, or 3 people that were in one place. So it was like, right, well, we're halfway there, and we've got what would we have? We've had 6 months to figure it out for an extra 3 team members. And then, yeah, so from then it was just finding the right people. I asked about 5 or 6 people, and then I asked Megan, and then Oakley. No. So then it was when I spoke to Ben, what Ben was saying, and then me and you, Ben, we had quite a lot of text calls about, how we should figure it out and what we should do and how we should set the whole thing up. And it was important. We didn't just want to make a team that got to the games. We wanted to make like a solid team that was going to, contend when we got there.
A big thing we looked at was also, and it certainly became really apparent throughout the season, was the people that you're with, spending all that time with. You've got to make sure that they're not a dickhead.
Yeah.
And that was a big part, wasn't it? It was kind of making sure we kind of chose people that we kind of knew were sound as well.
Yeah. And that brings me on to the next question, which I'll just ask myself. What did I find the hardest thing of the year? And it was probably that. But there was 8 of us that were in this team, in the squad. Laura Hughes was another one of them, and JB was named as the other. There's also Kev, so 9 of us. Kev was just a legend and just pretty much trained nearly every single session the whole way. But some people didn't want to put in the commitments, like we just said then with Jack and Ben, and I'll come to you girls in a minute, didn't want to put in the commitments that the rest of us were doing, put a lot of our lives on hold. It was very stressful at times, physically stressful with the amount of training that we're putting ourselves through, emotionally, financially stressful, because a lot of us had either stopped working or dropped our incomes, so we could do it. And then for the whole season to potentially have been like finished and over 3 weeks after we'd come second worldwide in the Open, 4 weeks or 3 weeks before the games, we were in a position where we only had 2 fit girls. Megan had had knee surgery within a couple of weeks after the Open had finished. Laura had let it known that she didn't want to be involved in the team anymore. She didn't want to make the sacrifices that the rest of us were doing, and it was stressful all around for everyone, to not really knowing what was coming up. We had a lot of expectation on us now to become second worldwide, and then not really anyone knew the fact that we'd had a girl drop out, and we had only 2 girls fit to step in. I don't know if we'd named any other girls in the roster. I can't remember. So we don't think we had.
We didn't. You couldn't.
No.
Do we not name Fran?
No. Well, we must have named the rest of the gym, because the Fran was named in it for the games team.
Yeah.
Maybe there was Isla, and Isla's solid now, but she wasn't. She wasn't at the standard at the time. So yeah, that whole thing, and then I remember the day where. I can't remember what it was, but Megan did something in training, and it was like, yes, she's going to be fit. And then it was just like, from that moment, it was just like, that regional suddenly became super exciting, because we knew we were going in with like a fully fit team and a team of 6. And if we do say so, the team of 6 that work together the best. She's a good athlete, Laura, but there just wasn't that same team bond when she was around. Maybe she just had too much more of a focus on her individual weightlifting or her own performance. But we just felt that us 6, would just put anything to the side just to make sure that we won or we performed well, and we just didn't get it from the others. That was something we all probably wanted to say, but no one wanted to mention it. And I don't think many people knew about it at the time, and that for me is what made that whole season like miles harder than it should have been.
Yeah, agreed.
Just the simple fact that one person wasn't willing to commit as much as the rest of them.
I think also I'm probably speaking for Meg, and you can confirm, but when you were injured and you weren't in at the time, you weren't in the squad because of your knee injury, and then when you heard that we might not have a team, that must have been really hard to try and because you wanted to be fit for everyone, but also there was nothing you could do.
Yeah, I think it was a real timing issue, because when I picked up the knee injury, then when we knew, well, from ours and both Laura's perspective, it was quite a mutual decision that it wasn't working with Laura in the team. We then realised I had to be ready for regionals, or Laura would step back in to do the regionals part. So it was really like a timeline thing of, could I be back ready for regionals? But I straight away thought, shit, this is going to be my fault if I'm not ready for regionals. They're going to have to put a team in that isn't training together as well as it could be. And then you're so right, Steve, I can't remember what it was, but we did some team workout, and then we made the call that day, and we just said, this is going to be the 6. And it was like everyone lifted a ton of bricks off our shoulders, and we were just like, bosh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Didn't we get ice cream?
Yeah.
We did.
What's
And is that what made the decision? Oh.
Yeah.
Go on. That's similar. So similar question for you there, Meg. As we're on the same topic. Like, how did you manage your knee? Like rehab wise, like day to day, what were you doing? A brief description of what your surgery was, and what you did to get back in time for regionals.
Yeah, we'd finished the second to last week of the Open. I did that workout, and then we had quite a heavy team day that afternoon, and I just remember it was the end of a run, and it swelled up pretty bad the next day, and it was to make the call then whether to have surgery, try get rehab back in time, or not have surgery and see if I could rehab it and it get better by itself. And we made the call to do the surgery instead, so we did that, and it was on or off by like 2 to 4 weeks of whether I'd be ready or not, but we were.
How much per day did you do, and how hard was it doing your rehab while the rest of us were just going full training mode?
It did it did suck not being in with the team training, but what would have sucked more would not be going to regionals and not be doing the whole thing. So going in and doing those hours and getting my own boring stuff done, it paid off like massively just for that, whatever it was, 6 weeks. But definitely learning in the long term, you don't rush your rehab. It doesn't help your long term.
If you could do it again and rush your rehab and have a games appearance under your belt, would you? Knowing full well that it would have messed your knee up. Oh, what question?
Yeah, I would do the experience 100%.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about that. How I would attack my next training season after the games is what I would do differently, 100%.
Cool.
I shouldn't have gone to regionals in the Pacific region and just take that season off.
Yeah. Oakley, your question is similar. In fact, it's Jane's questions next, but because we were talking about it just before, we were on a similar subject. So when we first got together in January, maybe it was the end of December, and Cameron was in. It's probably worth mentioning Cameron. He was our manager. He kind of, helped us live and act professionally and do the right things, get us the sponsorships, make sure Jack wasn't wearing Nike. So we didn't all have to pay 50 grand out for flights and accommodation. That was probably the extra stressful thing of my part there, was make sure Jack was fucking wearing Reebok. But we'd said we got together in a meeting, and we'd kind of said from the beginning that at the moment the team, they picked 6th for regionals, it was going to be us three guys, Meg and Jane, and then Laura and Oakley. You were in as sub at the time. I don't even remember if you remember the chat, but I remember it when everything just came out that Megan had hurt a knee. I think Megan had hurt a knee first.
Yeah, and
then it was about a week later did we hear about Laura.
That was it.
What was your kind of like? What was going through your head at that point when you realised that you were in and you'd be on the regionals team?
I guess it's the same as what everyone's just said. Like, it was a team, and you literally did everything you possibly could for everyone else on that team, because we all knew how much we'd given up for each other, and we all knew how much we all wanted it. And I just think, like, at that moment, for me, it was like, fucking hell, I'm not good enough to do this. And yet, you just had to be. So it was to try and just ramp it up even more.
When I'd asked you to be involved, and when I kind of made it out, I'd made it out when I first asked you that you'd be in as a substitute back in like December time. Did you then have any idea that you'd be in regionals and games?
I remember saying it to like Sean or something. He was like, "You could be." I was like, "No, I fucking won't be." I was like, "No." He's just asked me because I've known him for ages, and I'm at the gym, and I can be there, and I can train with everyone. And then I think it was even like regionals, and I can't remember the time frame or whatever, but I'm sure it was something to do with like Meg. It was before Laura had pulled out, and it was like Meg's knee, and we were like, right, Oakley, you're going to jump in at regionals, but when Meg's, because that was going to be instead of Meg's, we still didn't know about Laura, and then it was like, right, after regionals, Laura's going to be jumping back in, Meg's is going to be jumping in, like, you can just be back as a sub again. And then obviously shit hit the fan, and it was like, nope, you're in.
Yeah.
Like, sweet.
I think it's worth saying that the Open, when the Open came around, Oakley's scores, I think she beat most of us, but on the first one, which one was the second one? Second one was the snatches. The first one, out of the first four or something, like, your scores were beaten. Well, they were up there with the rest, with Jane and Megan, and you beat Laura on most of them. So it proved to us then that it was like that for me was a bit of an eye opener. I knew you were fit because you'd come and you trained pretty much every single session you could with us, and training hard. But then there's being fit and training hard, and then being fit and performing like in open workouts. It's like completely different. So for them, when you put those scores in, that was like, whoa, okay. I think obviously I'd trained and been around Jane for a few years before that, but not so much with Megan and Oakley. That Open was probably the first time that I'd witnessed you like being in competition mode fully, and seeing the difference from you both, from when you go day to day in just training workouts, and being like, right, open workout, it's like completely different mind frame, just fully sending it. That was like a pleasant surprise. And I'm pretty sure, even if from your performance at this, for you, Oakley, performance at regionals as well, if Laura had turned around and had never, for some reason, let's say she'd only got injured for regionals and she hadn't pulled out, then I would probably have said like this is going to be the games team anyway. We know for a fact that she wouldn't have been able to keep up with us basically on the events that we won, and like we wouldn't have won 2 events at the games if it wasn't this team. So, yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Steve?
You may.
What do you think of, like, because we're all quite different in like how we all focus or how we deal with nervousness of the games and regionals. How did you find it being our coach, managing us all?
I think the hardest thing that I personally found about competing was the responsibility then as well as to make the decision of like, this is how we're going to do the workout. You know, this is the call and it's going to happen at this time. We're going to split it this way. So having to remember what I've told you guys is what the tactics were, what the calls were, to remember that, when to say them, then have the ownership of that being the right way to do it. And then also trying to get myself into the mind frame to perform and go all in whilst trying to do it. That's what I found the hardest probably throughout the whole season. It's just trying to juggle all of that. I mean, everyone was fairly similar in terms of like everyone's personalities before an event. You know, I've been in teams since where people are a bit more different. But I think we all just kind of, we'd go quite quiet, like warming up, and just go quite serious. And then, you know, when the events were over, it'd be back to joking around a little bit more. But you could kind of tell that when it was time to be serious, and this is the same in training, not just regionals and games. When we were serious, it was serious. And when it wasn't serious, then it definitely was not serious. But yeah.
No, fighting on the boxes, Benjamin.
Fighting on the boxes. I've not farted as loud as that ever since. Game. Are you ready?
Sure.
How? No, sorry, I was reading Oaks' one then. How similar was it being in a CrossFit team, or how different was it to being in a CrossFit team, and it was when you were in England's football team or Man City's team? Like, what was the similarities and differences?
Well, because it's a team, everyone's fighting for the same thing. But CrossFit team, like, no one's trying to take position, so you're just working for each other.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're in a squad of 30 for a football team, you're fighting position. So in training, there's a different mentality. Whereas in training, CrossFit support each other. Whereas in training, maybe in football, it's like, you don't shit there, you don't shit there. Like, that's the biggest difference. But the team, like the banter, the team stuff is all the same.
Yeah. I would imagine that to be, if you've got three people that that play in the same position as you, you're going to go in and want to kill them every single day at training. Well, I would. But I guess it's different, isn't it? If everyone's got, if we had the four girls in the beginning, and you were all kind of, you were fighting for those three spots, and it's similar then. But as soon as it soon became just the three of you. So yeah, definitely agree on that. Changing, it's the same when I was in a football team. Changing atmosphere when you're trying to be better than the rest of your team, and then you're trying to be, as opposed to being the best with the rest of your team. And what, in terms of, I know you did a few things. Were you studying for PhD at the same time, or did you put that on hold?
Put PhD on hold, put police on hold, and lived off my mum and dad for good.
Yeah. Sponge life.
Yep. Still paying them back.
Cool. That's all our questions. Does anyone want to mention anything else? Take that as a no.
I don't think so.
Well,
Who was the biggest burger on the team?
Oaks.
Mega Burger.
Well, there's three of you in the running.
Was it Ben, Jane and Steve in the running?
I reckon Jack's burger moments were more like
Accident.
like he would trip over the mat when he was jumping up to do a legless rope climb or something.
Handstand walking.
The what?
He'll trip over his finger when he's handstand walking.
Yeah. So Ismo more just like stupid ones. I can't remember the burger moments because there's that frigging many of them. I think it just blanked them out of my mind. Oprah's was more, I would sit by the whiteboard and tell each other the workout for 10 minutes, and then she'd turn around and go, "What are we doing?" And I'd just like melt like this.
The amount of times your head would go and you just look at us and be like, "Oh no."
Read the fucking board. I was in a team at Wadapalooza, and Taylor was in the team, and a workout just got released over an Instagram post, and I read it out to everyone, and there was something confused about like 40 calories on 2 different ergs, and I just said the workout, and she must have asked me a question about this erg thing about 5 times, and I just went, "Just read the fucking post." By myself, I was like, "I didn't mean it like that, you know. I didn't." She was like, yeah.
Do you remember when we went to like the house the first time in Madison, and you all like everyone jumped in the water, and the next day Ben was sick for like the lead up to the games, like bedbound sick because it was the only night you didn't have your Coca-Cola.
Oh,
Blew
But
out.
That was so bad.
Burger Ben.
Sick note, Ben.
I can't remember any of your burger moments, Megan, but I think I'm going to give the award to you because
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I can't think of it. I genuinely can't think of any.
Go on, Jane, help us out here.
No.
Nice.
You reckon you going for Jack, right? Well, so Jane's voting for Jack. Ben, who are you voting for?
Megan.
Megan, who are you voting for?
That Jack.
Oakley, who are you voting for?
Going Jack.
Ah! Ball dick off, burger moment. You win. Oh, dick on, dick off.
I had this question in my head before we started this video, and I was like, everyone's definitely going to say Oakley on this one.
Oh, good.
And then I'll probably finish off saying my favourite moment outside of competition was when we did that day in the lakes,
Yes.
where we went mountain biking up Winslather Pass.
Winslather.
Is that it?
You're there-ish, yeah.
How do you say it?
Winlatter.
Winlatter. What we did, went for like 3 hours there, and then we went for a swim.
Swimming.
That was a big.
I did a poo behind a bush and like my bum was and we swam to this, what looked like about 100 metres away. It took about half an hour, and then swam back. And then
That was far.
And then we went for a run, and I cramped up every 10 steps. Yeah, that was probably one of my favourite days.
A good one.
That was a good one.
A very good
I
one.
like also the day when we went supping. That was fun.
Yes. That's the thing. One of the questions actually I've not mentioned is someone asked if you do anything different about the whole season, what would you do differently? And we probably my fault in this, we probably prepared more for out of the gym stuff, which is probably why the 2 events that were like a bit odd, out of the gym, running, swimming, carrying on the stretcher, is why we beat everyone.
Yeah.
But we were prepared for if we were rowing in a 6-man boat. We were prepared for supping,
Biking,
sand dune running. Biking. We prepared for so much other stuff that we probably neglected a little bit of just CrossFit stuff, because we'd come second in the world in the Open, so we were like, well, we're up there as some of the best CrossFitters. But yeah, probably felt that we weren't too sharp on CrossFit.
sometimes I think like, it wasn't actually our natural CrossFit ability. It was just that putting it into the game scenario of how sprinty we had to be.
Yeah.
We just haven't practiced it in sprint mode enough, almost.
Yeah.
No.
And I still to this day believe that some of the teams knew the workouts before we found them out. And my Jess is looking at me. Oh yeah. And I think this because you know that Amanda won the squat, snatch, and ring muscle ups. That had been announced a few hours before we did it. And you've got Invictus that are doing those squat reps where the arms are bent, the bar's not anywhere near the body. You're just like pulling it and diving under it like this for 60 kilo squat snatches and doing near uprise with ring muscle ups. And it was a 13, 11. No, it wasn't. 30, 27, 24, 21, down to 9 or 6.
9, yeah.
And so it was a lot of reps of both squat snatches at 60k and 42k and ring muscle ups. And they just went in on that workout as if they'd done it like 3 or 4 times. And we're just like, if the first time you get announced that workout, you don't hit it that hard. And they did. And I just felt like they knew. I feel like they knew it. And they'd had a chance to practice it. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but throwing it out there.
I just remember they were so rapid. They were so rapid.
I think a part of it was that
Yeah.
we didn't really get pushed that hard at regionals, so we weren't used to racing.
Yeah.
On that particular workout.
We probably should have raced each other more in training.
Yeah.
Like doing like 10 squat snatches for as fast as you can, like rest. Do you know what I mean? That sort of stuff.
That's one thing that we took into the 2019 games. We did less team training together. We just thought, right, well, we know that we can do everything together as a team. There's only 4, which was actually miles easier. We just tried to get ourselves in a position where we're the fittest we can all be and fastest we can all be as individuals, and we'll bring it together for 4 of us.
How did that change your enjoyment of the process by doing it that way or not?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as enjoyable, but at the same time, it fit my lifestyle a bit better. I would nowhere have been able to, just give everything up. I had a baby at that point, and a lot more going on with JST Compete. So there's that, but it was nice to know that you were also then going back to the games again, and you didn't have to be like throwing your life into 4 or 5 hours training, meeting up with everyone. We had a couple of meetups. Jack and Jane got together, a few times, and we had a big team session with Helena, maybe a couple of months before. But it's just so much easier with 4 people.
Yeah.
There's so much less to synchronise. What's that, Jane?
Synchro with 4 is miles easier than you're trying to.
It's just like there was no like when we had 6 people on a worm, it'd be like if you got it wrong a slightly tiny bit, and if that with a 4-person worm, it was just a little bit off. We've all done 4-man teams since then, haven't we? So you'll all know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
How are you all doing in quarantine?
I'm fucking smashing it here. I'm lifetime PB in the head off.
Yeah, I saw that. Well done.
33 weeks. How are you getting on in the police force, Jane? Is it busy?
People are idiots.
I can fucking tell you that.
Don't understand. Stay inside. Stay at home.
Tell Sambaguki that.
Don't start me.
I had an argument with him for about an hour.
Why?
What on your house?
He was meeting up with his mate and doing hill runs. I said to him, social distance is going well then. And he was like, what difference is it me doing this and going to the supermarket? I was just like, supermarket is essential. Stop being a dick.
That's the problem. Because we went up to Rivington the other day and like, well, I'm allowed to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 1,000 of you up here.
Yeah.
The amount of people driving to Heaton Park to like walk the dogs and stuff, I'm like, shouldn't we be doing that? Like,
I think they're putting a roadblock on up to the lakes this weekend.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I came home quickly because they're
Yeah.
stopping everyone coming in.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense, really.
Closing all the roads up. Because there was a
Yeah.
family like escorted back home the other day.
Yeah, I heard. They were like, "What are you doing? We're off for a day out in
Yeah.
the lake."
Hell.
People.
Wow.
from 2017, what's one or two things that have stuck with you since then? Whether it's like a food, a song,
Hot.
something for training,
The
whatever.
song. Get it on, Steve. Get it on.
Pump, 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 pump.
Whenever that comes on, I go back into that mindset of like, go, 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 go.
60 Minutes Live. It gets played every day at my house.
Yeah. That
Great attention.
watermelon with lime is just the best thing
Oh, do you know what? I've tried to introduce it to a few people ever since, and they got that. They go. I look at him and go, "Are you fucking pissed?" Well, nice. Maybe I think it as well as Ben's made it.
Andrex toilet wipes. Every time I see them in the shop, I look at them and I just start giggling. Love that.
What's worth mentioning is that Ben doesn't use toilet roll because it's rough on his bottom, so he uses Andrex wet wipes.
I feel like that's another very British thing, Matt.
It's not British, mate. It's Southern.
Do that.
We use cardboard up here.
Yeah. You just use just a few leaves.
With the sandpaper.
Sandpaper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to call us there because that's an hour and 20. Good to catch up with you all.
Lovely to see you all.
We'll
Love
arrange a rendezvous once all this is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show you how to snatch an empty bar.
Right. To seeing you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.